Well, now we know. We know who opened the door that night at Paul Pelosi's house, and we were right. Police body cam footage has confirmed precisely what we suspected. Maybe now's a good time for Nancy to call in that exorcist. Let's take a look.
Yeah, definitely don't want Hall up here. I definitely don't want Hall up here. Hello? Yeah. Fucking said 2620, right? No, 2640. Oh, yeah, it literally said that. Hi. Hey guys. How you doing?
How are you?
What's going on, man?
Everything's good.
Hi. Drop the hammer.
Nope.
Hey.
What is going on right now?
I'm not getting an answer on call back.
Bro, oh shit.
In the area that is from Virginia.
I got him, Michael. Edward 14, Edward, send back up, code 3.
Code 3 back up at 26.
Give me your fucking hand!
Units code
Give me your fucking hand!
40 Broadway for 14 out.
Edward 14, Edward, send medics, code 3 as well. You got it?
Sorry, 14 number 2, Dave, medic code 3.
All right, so as you can see, Paul Pelosi clearly opened the door. David DePape had his right hand on the hammer, as did Pelosi, and he opened the door with his left hand. Strangely, Pelosi said, "Hey guys, how are you?" when the police arrived, and DePape said that everything's good here, everything's fine. Pelosi looked obviously a bit bewildered. It's very odd that he didn't immediately call for help or anything like that. He just stood there like a deer in front of the headlights. They were both holding the hammer. I don't know who initiated that. It could have been Pelosi, and it was DePape who was trying to take it out of his hand. But regardless, the mystery of who opened the door is solved. Remember, according to official reports, DePape confronted Paul Pelosi demanding to see Nancy. At some point, Pelosi excused himself from DePape by saying he needed to use the bathroom. It just so happens that that's where apparently Paul Pelosi was charging his phone. And so at approximately 2:30 a.m., Paul Pelosi called 911 on his cell phone. The dispatcher for the San Francisco Police Department relayed the following message. The reporting party, or RP, stated that there's a male in the home and that he's going to wait for his wife. RP stated that he doesn't know who the male is, but he advised that his name is David and that he's a friend. The reporting party sounded somewhat confused. Yeah, you think so? Police arrived 2 minutes later, and according to the official story, they knocked, and an undisclosed person opened the door. At that point, the police observed the two men. Each were wrestling with this single hammer, and DePape immediately pulled it from Pelosi and started hitting him with it. And the cops tackled DePape and took him into custody. So that was the official timeline we were first told. To say that it was odd would be an understatement. Obviously, it's beyond bizarre, peculiar. But then Elon Musk, of all people, tweeted out this. There's a tiny possibility there might be more to the story than meets the eye. And he linked to a story from the Santa Monica Observer on what they called the real truth of what happened, where they argued that Paul Pelosi was actually drunk and got into a fight with a male prostitute who, according to the article, was David DePape. And the story went on to say that Pelosi had long been widely rumored to be gay, and that this was basically a confirmation of that rumor. So obviously, Musk absolutely freaked out the legacy media, claiming he was a conspiracy theorist and the like. But then NBC News, of all places, reported this.
Well, Jess, this all has to do with the moments, seconds, really, just before Paul Pelosi was struck in the head with a hammer inside his San Francisco home. Now, there continues to be contradicting accounts of a relatively simple question. Who opened the door that night when San Francisco police arrived to the Pelosi house? Now, the Department of Justice says the 2 officers opened the door. That's according to a federal indictment filed earlier this week. But the San Francisco District Attorney's Office, in another court document that was filed earlier this month, said Mr. Pelosi opened the door with his left hand. So the question is, what really happened? According to a source familiar with the investigation who personally watched the police body camera footage from that night, officers knocked on the door of the Pelosi home, then backed away. And the video clearly shows Paul Pelosi open the door with his left hand, just like what was noted in the documents filed by the DA's office. Now, also as written in the DA docs, the source tells us the body cam video shows officers having a brief conversation with Pelosi and David DePape, that's the man accused of breaking into the Pelosi home, before DePape starts beating Pelosi with a hammer. We reached out to the Department of Justice for an explanation on its differing account of this seemingly innocuous issue of who opened the door, but so far we have not heard back.
And then the Today Show, also of NBC, followed that report up with this.
When officers responded to the high-priority call, they were seemingly unaware they'd been called to the home of the Speaker of the House. After a knock and announce, the front door was opened by Mr. Pelosi. The 82-year-old did not immediately declare an emergency or try to leave his home, but instead began walking several feet back into the foyer toward the assailant and away from police. It's unclear if the 82-year-old was already injured or what his mental state was.
Terrifying situation. We still don't know exactly what unfolded between Mr. Pelosi and the suspect for the 30 minutes they were alone inside that house before police arrived. Officials who were investigating this matter would not go into further details about these new details.
Now, stunningly, as many of you know, that report was later retracted by NBC News, and that reporter Miguel Amalguer was actually suspended. He wasn't seen on air for weeks after that. And that's when we knew something was up. Paul Pelosi opened the door, and then he apparently walked back towards his supposed assailant, who he earlier identified by name and as his friend. Well, in the body cam, we don't see him walking back, but we certainly don't see him running towards police. It's a very, very odd situation, but I think we could see why the legacy media did everything they could to cover that up, what actually happened. And that's because they deliberately exploited this situation to rebrand it as an opportunity to smear the MAGA movement just days before the midterms. So this was obviously an embarrassing and strange occurrence for Pelosi that they tried to turn into an occasion to denigrate and slander patriots. Still, there are plenty of questions that have yet to be answered, and we'll have to see the extent to which those answers will be forthcoming in the weeks ahead. As always, gang, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You will definitely want to check out my latest video on White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre openly falling apart in front of our very eyes. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure to click on that link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.